uh, okay, so I am basically a graphic designer, and I'm just doing freelance work right now. That's it. What else? Yeah, I like doing illustrations, and recently I started picking up a little bit of processing and trying to do some illustrative things. I think Hugo has helped a lot. Like I started with his software and things. So, I mean, I started to do some tutorials, but then I just left it in between because I got busy with other stuff. So I'm hoping after this, I'll again pick up and do stuff. Yeah. I hope everybody got my name. My name is Anisha.
Yeah.
I hope I don't confuse you too much.
I can go next. I'm Ocean, and I know Anisha and Ambika and my sister, and I've met Nanditi
Yeah.
twice. And I am I'm a researcher, I suppose. I've studied. I haven't studied design ever, but I worked at a design consultancy. That's how I know Anisha. And I'm going to I used to study sociology and anthropology, and now I'm going to study a master's in design. So I don't know how what it's going to be like, but we'll see about that. And yeah, I mean I don't really, so I think a couple of months ago there was something called Processing Community Day, and I was kind of just like tagging along with Hugo, and I thought it was really fascinating. So I kind of tried like a little bit of processing right after that, but I think just like Anisha, I kind of stopped at some point and I have forgotten everything that I did at that point. So yeah, it'll be exciting. Let's see.
Uh, should I go next? Uh, I'm Mylan. I'm currently in my first year of design, but our next term is going to start. So I'm going to choose communication design. And I've been practicing with, and I've started learning some of the softwares. Like I did a class sort of on Photoshop, and I'm doing Illustrator right now. I also started processing because Ocean told me about it, but I guess I got too confused because of the coding, so I stopped. Yeah.
Should I go ahead? Supriya, is your audio working now? No, don't think it is. Okay, why don't you write in the chat?
So, like in the morning, I had a Google Meet and I was trying my mic and it wasn't working. So, if you try and restart the computer, maybe it will help because that's what I did right now. I just restart my Chrome and computer.
Just I was just reading her. Yeah. Okay. Um, I'm Nanditi. I work with Ambika on Ajaib Ghar. I'm not sure how many of you know about it. It is a cultural consultancy for strategy. But lately we've been exploring culture tech, and our recent project was Draft, where we are looking at computation and writing. So that's how I got interested into creative coding. Um, I don't have much experience with it, but I only tried some creating some music with live coding because algorithm pushed me into it. So that's how much I know, and I've been looking at stuff that Ambika has been doing on p5js. Um, that's about it. In terms of design, I only use Canva as a hack sometimes when there are no designers to work with us. So yeah, that's about it. And of course, yeah, I've seen Anisha's work in Meetup is amazing. I really liked it. And Ocean, I've met at Algorithm when Ambika performed.
Thank you. Yeah.
We'll wait for Supriya to join and
Yeah.
then we can. Shall I share my screen?
I think now it's working. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, great. It's working now. Yeah. You can introduce yourself.
Okay, cool. So I'm basically a freelance journalist. I'm based in Goa. I know nothing about design, or I have no visual sense for anything whatsoever. But I got in touch with Ambika through another friend because I saw some really cool stuff on Instagram happening with code and music and poetry and stuff, and I just felt like it's something that I could probably try doing free writing and just explore the creative side of writing through visual poetry with it. I don't know what it is even. So but I'm just willing to see what happens. Yeah.
Agat also wants to join. So I'll send him the link and he'll be like Mylin and Ocean sitting in separate rooms. Hold on, please. ये ऊपर वाला ही दे दो ना नंदिती लिंक.
Sorry. Yeah. Isn't it the same link?
I sent him. I don't know. Let's see if he joins. भेजा WhatsApp पे भेजा.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the slides.
Okay. Do you want me to share the slides or like how do you want to do it?
You can present both ways, right? Let's have this open as well as you can present, so we know where you're at.
Okay. Maybe that's better. I shut my late Latif is here. Okay. Agar, you can introduce yourself. We've just done a couple of rounds of that.
Hello. I don't know where I am.
Yeah.
Can you guys see me? Yeah. My name's Agar, and this is probably my 100th attempt to learn coding, but I think we have a good teacher, so it will work out this time. Yeah.
A lot of pressure. Yeah, a lot of pressure. Okay. My screen's visible.
Yeah.
Okay, so एक सेकेंड होल्ड करो. ये पीछे से आगत की आवाज गूंज रही है. उसको हेडफोन चाहिए रहेगा.
Shut the door. Sorry.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so basically, just wanted to give you guys kind of different introduction to p5js. Everyone's from a design background here, and sometimes or at least have tried something or the other. So sometimes I find that, especially in the beginning, it would be really frustrating for me because I would think that I can anyway make a circle or a triangle, rectangle in Illustrator or wherever, and or even like on pen and paper. So what's the big deal about this p5js? And then of course slowly I think the first thing that you realize is that when the mouse interactions and things happen, I have no cool slides for all this stuff, so I'm just like going with what I have. So all of that stuff happens, you kind of suddenly find that it's become a bit more exciting and a little different from what you're used to, and from there on I think the journey begins. So in that context, p5js is what is JS now? So JS is basically JavaScript, and if you guys don't mind, I want to see your faces, so I'm sort of doing a stop of the screen share. So JavaScript is basically a language which is mainly written for web development, and typically when you see a web page, there are typically three languages that work together. One is HTML, which makes the broad framework. So, say for example, the fact that your name is coming up there or your image is coming up there, that's all HTML. And then there's CSS, which is cascading style sheets, which is basically the styling of the page. So it's like first layer is a pencil sketch, and the second layer is the color. So basically CSS is the color, so it tells you what fonts you can use, or all kinds of like animations also happen on it. Aside from that, it kind of does a bit of the layouting. So if you just do pure HTML and I say I want 5 boxes for Agat, Ambika, Nanditi, Ocean, Melin, it'll just go one by one underneath each other. But then CSS you can say, okay, I want 3 boxes like this, 3 boxes like this, 3 boxes like this. And then what JavaScript does is it adds layers, and for the most easy sense of us being able to understand it, it adds something called events. So typically, like what we do with the mouse movement and all, that is all a very inherent aspect of JavaScript. Of course, JavaScript is a lot more, and it's even at the level of, say, when you guys open Amazon or a website, and then you see suddenly it will say loading and more things will come, like on scroll.in you may have seen, or other websites. That is all JavaScript. It helps the browser understand that, okay, this is now the person's reached here, so you quickly do something before they lose interest. So that's what JavaScript does. So these are the 3 things that kind of work together on a browser. So that's how we've all been using the internet primarily over the last so many years. And JavaScript is a little bit newer, CSS or like a little bit less, and then HTML is the oldest one. I don't know who's done pure HTML here. I think Agat had done some funny stuff as a kid. So this is where processing came in. Processing community was originally in another language called Java, not JavaScript. And it was started by these 2 MIT guys, and they were like, okay, there's this really cool stuff that we can do, but it's like so inaccessible to everyone who's not a coder. So let's try it out in a like a simpler format. This is the processing.org website. If you guys want to know a bit more about it, there are details here. This is kind of where it all started, and then someone said, okay, Java is getting really old. Let's go for P5. We'll make it in JavaScript. It will make it even easier, which is how JavaScript p5js library was formed. So basically what they've done is, it's like the easiest way for me to explain it is like, Ocean, suppose you read a very, very, or Supriya, you read very intense documents, say that you've gotten an archive, or say an academic has given you, and then you try to write it in a simpler format so that you can share it with more people. This is exactly what the p5js library is doing. So say for example, you had to, in pure JavaScript, if you had to make a circle, you had to write many lines of code and set it up in a certain way. So these guys have said, okay, let's try to like reduce that barrier and make it run a little easy for people who are just starting out. So typically, even when you go online, you'll see that many examples are very simple, and you don't see very high-end work done in p5js, because it tends to be, firstly, it's on browser, so you can't like really extend it too much in the outside world. But otherwise also, it's kind of limited to the learning community, at least at the moment. So JavaScript, so p5js is this library. Now you can use p5js by downloading all their files and all that, but I think the easiest way, and I've also put the link in the presentation as well, is the editor that they have on the browser. So you guys can go there if you want, and then maybe I'll take it on from there. Is there any question at this point? It's a good time to like look at. Okay, all okay. I can't hear anyone. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So okay. So basically, have you guys got an editor going for a sense?
Yeah.
So this is sort of like, this is called a IDE, which is basically, I don't know what IDE stands for, but it's basically an environment where you can do the work. It's like a Word doc, or it's like a Illustrator file. Like you opened it and now there's this blank place, and you now you have to start doing stuff. So at this point, I'll just give you a sense of how we are going to plan out the rest of this session. So it will be a bit easier for you to kind of visualize where we are going. There are two aspects of it. One is a very basic understanding of how to make a few simple shapes and like move things around. And then we will move to a very nice kind of exercise that is being done by an artist in the West called Zach Lieberman, where he says recreating the past. And I guess this kind of digital work has been happening since the 70s. So he's kind of taking old artists' works and he tries to explain to you how you do it with these new tools that you have access to. So in that context, I was kind of looking at some of the artists, and I thought, okay, hey, let's do an Indian artist whose work might, work like kind of go well with this exercise. So I've uh, I was looking at a couple of artists, and Nasreen Mohammadi's work seemed to sort of fit in well with where we'll take the program today. I think, I don't know, I feel like we may like lose out on time today though, because it became a bit late. But we'll try to see what's possible. So now I'll just kind of like give you I'm going to share my screen again. I'll not share the presentation. I'll share another tab. And if at any point you're feeling I'm going too fast or like I'm going too slow, you can please tell me. So yeah, so this is the editor now. Now, remember I told you guys that it has like a browser needs like 3 types of things to work. So there's your HTML file, and there's your CSS file. Is it visible? Do you want me to? Is this better?
Yeah, this is good.
So
Yeah.
you have your HTML file, your CSS file, and your .js, which is JavaScript. So the HTML file is basically your framework. So it's saying, okay, give me a page, call some of my friends on the page, like a collaborative Google Doc.
Can't hear you, Ambika.
Sorry, oh, my finger went on the mic. Give me a page, like call some of your friends on the page, which is the JavaScript files and your CSS file, and then let's have some fun. And then the style sheet says that, okay, better be dressed in like proper clothing because it's a party. So I'm sorry, I'm making all these really weird analogies. You can like tell me if it's getting too much. And then JavaScript comes in and says that, okay, whatever, but like where's the food and where's the music? So like right now, p5js JavaScript does most of the legwork, which at least in the beginning when you're starting out and exploring things, which is sort of where we'll be kind of loosely be like through the session. If you guys really want to understand what happens in the HTML file and all, I can maybe tell you separately, or if you want to know right now, it's just calling the JavaScript files, and that's all that it's doing. So right now I don't need, like, you guys don't need to sort of stress on what's happening in here. So yeah, so this is your sketch. So the processing foundation kind of says that, okay, look at this place for you to explore creative coding, and each of the works that you do is a sketch. So in that context, they help you by sort of pre-making these two functions for you. Now I don't want to like unnecessarily go into those details. It's like you can ask me if you want to, but like I don't want to make this a very technically heavy session. So what it's just doing is that it's saying that, okay, there's a setup and then there is a draw. So again, it's like you went to the beach, you put the chatai, that's the setup, and then you like take out your ball and like you play, you go to the beach, you do something, you come back, whatever. So the setup happens only once. You put your chatai only once on the beach, and then all the other things you're doing like all the time. So that is how it works. And typically what happens is that you can imagine draw to be like frames of a film roll. You know, like you remember film roll used to have these 1 2 3 4 5 6. So it keeps drawing itself again and again, and you can set the rate at which it draws itself, so your animation kind of changes based on how you've set the frame rate. And this we'll get into it, but I'm just giving you a sense, because sometimes it'll do funny things, so you should know how it works. And if you don't want it to do that, there is an option to shut it down as well. Of course, it doesn't really matter right now. So okay, so right now just on this plain file, just hit the play button and just see what happens. Let me know if this gray box is appearing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So does somebody want to tell me what just happened, Maylin? Maybe you want to like give a guess ki kya hua?
It created a canvas of 400 by 400.
Yeah, perfect. And what is the second thing that happened? The background.
Um, the background 220 is a color or something.
Yeah, very good.
One.
That was a very educated guess. I'm impressed. So yeah, so basically, how do screen colors work? They work in an RGB format, like red, green, and blue, right? अगर बता देना गलत बोल. So so basically, what this is done is when you put only one entry, like you just put 220 here, it's just taking a value from 0 to 255, which is like 0 is black and 255 is pure white. So it will take a value in the middle. So I'll just show you on the screen. I'll turn this to 0, and or I'll turn it to say like 100. So it's a little bit of a darker gray, or I turn it to 255, which is a fully a white gray. And you can even see, because ये background थोड़ा सा gray color का, so you can see the difference. So we'll get into it a bit more. I mean, I don't know, because some people know RGB well because you have design background, some people don't. So we kind of like get into it at the point where we feel it's uh, getting like, you need to know what it's about. So I'll urge you to like just change these numbers in Create Canvas and in background. In background, it can take like up to three entries. So 0 to 255, any number. So just like try it out once, and can everyone share screen together, Nanditi?
Yeah, but what we'll see, we don't know. Let's try.
I don't
You
think
can,
so.
at least two people could be able to.
Yeah, two I recall, two people sharing together.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah, सही है, सबका आ जाएगा. Okay, it's basically the last person who's showing, and I think that was Sagar.
Yeah. Everything else will pause.
Okay. So if anyone's feeling it's a bit too slow and you all have done this, let me know. Like I can even, like, if we break out for a bit, I can tell you then as well if there is an issue.
Why is
So,
the number only till 255? Why
so
can't it go?
that's a range that's been made. So it's like when it is RGB, like it is zero red to full red is 0 to 255.
Okay.
And then G is 0 green to 255, like full green is 255. So what will happen? Say now try, Melin, try put 255 to comma 255 and a 0. See what happens.
Uh, It's white. No, wait.
Okay, let me share my screen and you can. So here I made it 255, 255, 0. So it
Oh,
became because red and green on a RGB works on a light waste yellow, like coloring. So it turned yellow. It didn't turn. क्या होता अगर उसमें होता है ना? Anyway, Anisha, maybe you can tell us a little about color mixing. Like I don't know if you
Uh,
recall, like if torch way, if you put like colors and then you try to mix them and then they turn differently. So it's like or poster paint when you mix colors. So basically, this is what's happening. Ellen, was that easily understandable? Okay, so like for example, now I put only 255 and I ran it, so it will be red. Or okay, now tell me what will happen now. Anyone
it'll
can
be
tell
red.
me. Anyone can tell
it's
me.
blue. Blue. It will turn blue.
Oh,
Correct, correct.
yeah.
Yes. Okay, so this is the basic idea of colors, which I was a bit like not sure who will be able to figure this out. Although I kept today's exercise fairly colorless. So yeah, so this is now okay. So now you've got your paper, and you chose to get a blue paper, and now you want to draw something on it, right? So what do you do when you draw on paper? You just put your put your pencil on one end of the paper and then you stretch it out to another end of the paper. So basically, if you guys remember from school, the xy coordinates. So x goes horizontal and y goes vertical. Now, typically, and or if you see it in like Ocean and Supriya, you might see it in your data reports where there is an x and y coordinate, and then there is some amazing amount of data on it about some cruelty against somebody. So but that always moves. Can you guys see my hand? Yeah. So that always moves in an upward direction, and it will move towards the right direction. But imagine if that was flipped around. So that's basically the coordinate system on this p5js. So say for example, I put a point. So the point will take two coordinates, x and y. So if I put 0, 0, it will be fairly not visible to you guys. But say if I put, say, like 100 and 100, it's super tiny. I don't know if you guys can even see it.
Yeah.
Can you see the little black dot here?
Yeah.
So basically, what it did was the dot traveled 100 pixels on the x axis and then it went 100 pixels on the y axis and it landed here, right? But this is just a dot. So now if we needed to turn this to a line, we need to give another dot on the other end, right? Like what is that famous saying that the line is a dot, or like that's gone for a walk or something
That's
like
one
that?
for a walk. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so now P5 is pretty simple in these aspects. So like a line is just called a line, but a line needs now 4 points, right? So say anyway we were at point 0, 0, so we just like assume that same point from there, and then we say okay, this is a 400 by 400 format. So in this, I want the line which is at 100 to go up till say 300 comma 300. So where will that line go? Any guesses? Do you guys have any sense of how it will be, or you want me to draw it out? Does anybody need me to draw it? I think mostly everybody is figured, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Supriya, you're okay? Yeah, okay. So okay, so now we just put it at 300 and 300 and give me a diagonal line. Now you so basically what happened? We went 100 to 100, and then we said okay, the next line I want it to go all the way up till 200, 300, and then On the y-axis, I want it to be straight. So basically, this is all you need to know for today's exercise, how to make a line. Uh, so we'll go through some of the other things that are available on p5js. Of course, there is like rectangle, circle, ellipse, arc, triangle, all of that. They all work on the same coordinate system of x and y. There are basic interactions, so I can tell it, okay, every time I hit the button, the key W, something should happen, or every time I move my mouse, something should happen. And of course, now they've integrated mobile as well. So every time I shake my phone, or every time I throw my phone up in the air, it should react and give me some response. And then, of course, if it's on phone, it's got a touch capability as well. Uh, you can also work with typography, images, math, maths, string, and 3D. So you can manipulate typography. I'm sure you've seen a lot of work nowadays. We do all this like cool, funky stuff with, Z is traveling here and Y is traveling there, whatever. And images, you can do like lots of interesting, like glitchy stuff with it. You can, make different kinds of collages if you want. You can make the image into a paintbrush and like just paint with it. Hugo's done some really fun work with that. You can use math. This is typically what you see with a lot of computational work, where they'll use a very interesting mathematical formula, and they'll just say, okay, line now, just move across this particular formula. So something as simple as a sine wave, which is just going like this flowy format. You just tell the circle, okay, now just go on this pattern. So these are the kind of things that are, I think, a bit limited when you start working in a regular graphic software. Then you can use string is a terminology of uh, of coding, which basically means a text input, and with that you can do poems, stories, text, which I think some of you've seen what we've done, or participated in the meetup. And then you can use 3D, and you can be a VJ and like just like chill in a cool club. So these are some possibilities. What we'll do today is a project that's inspired by the School for Poetic Computation in New York, where one of the artists, Zach Lieberman, he does something called Recreating the Past. You can go to the link, I've put it at the bottom. So he uses various aspects that I've been introducing you to, and then they do it across like some few weeks, and they try different kinds of things with what different artists have done. Now things have really changed, of course. Like earlier, many of these things were much more difficult, because people have been creating computational work since before there was a mouse on a computer even. So for them it's not a it's like computational art is not a new thing. uh, so he's kind of used those formats. I just thought it would be interesting to see it in context of an Indian artist whose work sort of felt like it might fit well into this exercise. This work's not done on with computation. It's actually done by hand with scale and protractor and all. This is an artist, Nasreen Mohamedi, who kind of posthumously shot to fame in like the last 10 years or so. And her work's been now shown in the Met and all of that. And she had this sort of very intense style of living, including the way she presented her work to her colleagues and friends, where she would clear up her entire house and just lay them in an L shape on the floor. So you were supposed to come in a line, see the work. You couldn't like disrupt the line, and you had to leave from a different exit. So she was quite like, in that sense, she personifies the kind of system, like in terms of procedure that one needs to follow when one is trying to do coding based work. Uh, you can see more of her stuff, like you can see in terms of like there's a gradient. All of
Ambika,
these,
mic.
sorry, uh, she's working with. Um, I'm not going to be able to promise you how much we can achieve this, because like even I'm figuring it out with you guys. So like bear with me, and then maybe we'll extend it to another session if it doesn't work out. So yeah, so these are some of her diary entries, and like it's pretty cool, like how she's uh, like drawn on the lines, like using it as a grid. And I think this is quite similar to what we're doing. Like she's starting a line from zero, and it's going up till say like 100, and then she's doing another line which is starting at 0 100, and it's going up till another place. So there's a possibility we could even try something like this today. I just wanted you to see her diary as well. That like sometimes we always associate that artists like working numbers and things, but like look at this, like she's kind of figuring out a mathematical format of this. On the right side, you'll see under 1978, it says 3 plus 4 plus 5, and then it adds up, and then she's starting from 4, and then she takes it up to uh, 11 or 12. So she's trying to figure out some formats, and even if you see the overall layout of the diary, she's kind of used different pens or different thicknesses, and or like pencil versus pen, and try like shown some kind of tonal variations, which is something we could try today. So that's where I was thinking maybe we could do it with opacity, or we could just do it by like clubbing a lot of lines together. This is a nice entry from her diary where she's like blacked out everything, and then Sunday, day of thinking begins. Um, uh, this work is also really like interesting. This is actually computer cards on the on the left side. The two images, these were used in the old time computers where you like punch things in. Maybe some of you remember, in OCR wala jo exam hota tha, jisme you had to uh, like mark out a circle, and then it would just go on a computer and your marks would come out. So this is sort of from that era. And this is a very interesting work she's done. This is actually just like ink and on paper, and it looks like it's almost woven. So has some sort of interesting texture to it. There's some links I've added to kind of her other work. You can like look at her process and things. She's quite an interesting lady. She used to do pocha 6 times in her house every day, it seems. So yeah, I was quite taken by that. Okay, so let's crash some. Uh, this is pretty much how I've learned P5, and I continue to learn because I just feel like I think the key thing that always stops us is our fear that we aren't able to figure it out. But I think P5 editor has this like very like this play button thing. So like I try it out every single time. I still, because I feel like it's okay, like अपना काम कौन देख रहा है? We're just doing it in a corner of the world. So primarily, I think it's like we need to just be as like fearless about crashing our computers, because I think that's a really easy way to start learning and feeling free about what you're doing. Um, so I'm not going to be able to promise you, but I feel like this is something we could try out, although, or like a variation of it, although I have not myself attempted it, and I haven't done this kind of geometrical programming work for a really long time. But I think we can still attempt it. I think it's just a start for us, because we are still figuring out, like, line ye kaise chalega idhar udhar and all that. So perhaps it would make sense to do this. But if you guys want to try out any of the other artworks, I also really like this one on the left bottom. I thought it was pretty simple as
Is
well.
it possible to overlay this thing image, like put an image and then overlay your design on it?
No,
On the canvas?
unfortunately, I have been trying that for really long. But what I just do, Nanditi, I just like uh, chota karo my browser on one side, and I see it on the other. So, like, suppose this is my screen. So I just kind of like chota karo it, and on the other side I open.
No,
One
no,
side I
sorry.
open.
I meant for that particular work in the diary that she's done, right?
Uh-huh.
So, is it possible on this canvas that we put an image from somewhere and then we actually make the lines with, like, in by drawing?
Uh-huh.
Can
Like,
we?
oh, you feel like just to compare it.
No, like if we are to make it exactly like that. So, can
Like,
we have an image from somewhere, insert it on the
yeah.
canvas, and over that make the lines?
Yeah, we can do that, but like adjusting image resolution and all also is its own play. And like मतलब वो थोड़ा सा headache है अभी के लिए, but I can explain to you how it's done. I'm like with image even I struggle a bit because there's like resolution versus aspect ratio versus I don't know, it's like quite a bit of a headache. But we can try it out maybe a little later.
Later, yeah.
So yeah, so this is so these were my thoughts. But if you guys want to try any other artwork, I'm happy to attempt it and fail. So give me a sense of which one you want to do.
That one is good, the one you suggested. What do you guys feel?
Yeah, I think we should start with whatever you're suggesting, and then we can.
Okay. So
I feel like at this point it's just yeah.
everything is new at this point. So let's see where it goes. And like, there's no obligation to like replicate it exactly. We could just do anything with it. We could like decide, okay, we just want to do this one module on the top, and then like play around with it and do some, mouse giri with it and all. That's totally okay. And I think that would give us a like little bit of sense of play and like be relaxed about where we want to like take this thing. It's I think right now it's just a mode for us to like learn the libraries without feeling that it's a bookish thing कि ये function होता है और ये होता है और ये conditionals होते हैं और ये if statements होते हैं, because quite honestly somebody asked me all these things, I still don't know which is a conditional and which is what, but I know how to use it. So I'm just going with that format, and I think maybe it will work for you, maybe it will not. So the I just wanted to go through the steps. Maylin, you're okay now. You've been really quiet, so I don't know if you've been excited or like annoyed by that
No,
session. Um,
I was trying to make a line, but I couldn't.
okay,
We have to make it under draw, right? Function draw.
yeah, we have to make it under draw. So basically, you have to look. I'll just give you these are the steps. So we already did a canvas. We already gave it a background. We also drew a line. I don't know if you all followed up with me, but we did draw a line and we drew a point as well. Now, basically, what is happening in the image? She's just multiplied the lines, right? In a sense, like she's just going one line, two lines, three lines, four lines, like that with her scale and her pen. So we will try that, and then there are ways to tell the computer that okay, I'm not going to tell you कि तू इधर line बना. I'll just tell you कि ऐसे line बनाते हैं. अब तू बना line. That is basically where our hand then suddenly differs from the computer. So and I think I found that it always helps me to like feel like I'm talking to the computer, like I'm instructing it in a way ki, okay, now do this, like. But sometimes what happens is that when you're doing that, you're like so frustrated because you know what you want but the computer doesn't. So it's like, I mean, it's like explaining something to Yugen which is not of his level yet. Yugen is higher than us. So yeah, so what we'll try to do is we'll first try to do this top. Is that I don't know if the mouse cursor also shows when I'm sharing the screen.
Yeah, it's showing.
It's showing, okay. So yeah,
It does.
so
Yeah.
we'll try to do this one top line, and then we will manually कहाँ गया? Manually do each of these lines, and then see what happens. And we just do this one module for the moment, and then we'll see where it goes from there, because I've also not planned beyond that, and also we are at 8:20, so I don't want to like keep you guys and we have to make dinner, etc. So I'll stop the screen share for the presentation. And yeah, so experiment, crash your system, restart, repeat. That's basically how you will figure this out. There's no
Yeah.
other formula. Okay, so we'll go to the editor and I just give me a second. I want to. I'm because when I open the editor, I can't see your faces, and that kind of like disorients me a bit. So I'll just share my screen. Okay. तो ये अभी दिख रहा है ना? This is where we were earlier.
Yeah.
So I played it and this is what came up. Now, is everybody able to get this much? Like, were you guys able to like make a diagonal line on a, I don't know, a blue canvas or whatever colored canvas? Yeah? Supriya, Mylin, Anisha, everyone's fine? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I did like make some pre-files. I'm not so unprepared also. Uh, okay. So yeah, I just thought I'll put a couple of other shapes for you guys to see how it works. So just in case you want to iterate, you don't want to use a line, maybe you want to use like a circle or whatever. So line we sorted. Now, how the ellipse works is that you give the center point and then you give the radius. But because it's an ellipse, it could have two different radiuses. It could be radii. It could be like one is 2 and one is 5, whatever. So because I just wanted a circle, I just made it 30. But say suppose I make this, so there you go. So it became like this oblong thing. Yeah. So and then there's a rectangle. Now rectangle works slightly differently. It doesn't take the center point of the circle. Instead, it of the object, it takes the corner. So we are right now at 130 on X, which is here, and is the mouse as well?
Yeah.
And we are on so this is X here, and then this is Y. So this is 85 on this side, and then it says, okay, now tell me what's the width and the height uh, of your rectangle. So there, if I made it 130, it became this. So like you might see several times there are these exercises on p5js if you explore it later on your own, and they'll make you make like faces and stuff, which is really frustrating. Sorry, but then I always fix doing the wrong way. So like whatever, and then they'll be like, okay, अब अब उसका smiley face बनाओ, whatever. So like okay, I got the eyes and the nose, but I was like a bit bored of this kind of format, and it was probably the reason why it took me 10 years to learn Pikachu. So yeah, so we'll not do this, but this is the basic idea, um, and also give you a sense of rotate. If perhaps you want to like make things rotate a bit. So it rotate works on radian angles, not the regular angles that we learnt on the protractor, which was like 0 to 180 and then back to 360. It has this different format where it works from 0 to 2 pi. So, like, how do I like maybe okay, I'm just going to like action it out. So, like, so this is a circle which is like 0 and then it travels across to 360. So, at 360, it's 2 pi. So that means that if I want half a circle, it's at pi. Or if I want a quarter, it's at pi by half. Is that making sense? Or should I draw it? Oh, wait, there's an example. Actually, hold on. Okay, so by the way, inside p5js, in the help, you can go directly to the references page of the library, which without which like I feel like I can't function on p5. So yeah, so basically this is what I was talking about: half pi, pi, quarter pi. How it like acts out is I'll show you on an arc. So yeah, so here you can see. Okay, wait, I have a book which I will show you on the webcam. Just give me a minute. If you think this is delaying it, you can tell me, and then I'll not bother myself. Okay, sorry, big failure, couldn't find it. But yeah, so we'll just see this one. I mean, if you guys want to figure it out with me, we can do that. Maybe there's an example for the pie also. Please be honest and tell me, okay, if something is like unnecessarily taking up time, I'm happy to not look into it. Yeah, so for example, okay, now they have a new terminology as well, half pi. So yeah, so here you see this is don't look at these numbers, इनको जाने दो अभी. तो ये location बता रहा है 0 to half pi. So this is 0 and then this is half pi. Then if it came up till here, it would be pi, right? Okay, cool. And then it goes up to 2 pi here. So this is useful to do all those cool sine wave kind of things, you know, like later on you can figure out. Or if you want to try, there's one really pretty one which Nasreen from Nasreen's work, which is this one here. So if you guys want to try that as well, that's a possibility. So anyway, so yeah, so we'll go back to not digress so much now. I had another sketch going as well. Oh, okay. Sorry. I need to tell you one thing before we go on. I think that'll be really useful to do fun stuff with. Just sketch. Line. Okay. So can you guys see that it's like animating? Okay. So basically, this is a very simple trick that will be useful for later for you to kind of uh, explore a bit more. So now can you see that it's animating, but it's not like copying on top of each other? So, which is what I told you in the beginning that like draw runs like a film roll. It keeps going, going, going. It keeps refreshing itself. Whereas setup only sets it up once. So you just need to say, okay, so like even in film roll, each of those frames is the same dimension, right? But it's like refreshing, refreshing, refreshing. Oh, sorry, Anisha dropped out. Is it? Okay. So in that context, when I put the background here in draw, it refreshes every time. So every single time it's going one frame, one frame, one frame, one frame, one frame. It's refreshing the background as well. But what happened here is when it was in setup, it just made the background once. So it's like using a paper and then you're just like constantly drawing with the same sketch pen going over, like same with the film. So it's like one frame और आप उसी पे draw करते जा रहे हो. But if the which is the earlier one which we saw, which is not the same as when the background was in draw. That's just a simple thing that I thought would be useful. Okay, so sorry, did I stop sharing?
This would be so interesting if we use it in that drawing that you picked up,
Which drawing?
the one that we were going to make. Like if the rotate function.
So which is why I thought that maybe if somebody wants to explore it in that way, there's a possibility as
Yeah.
well. So in fact, for that I had thought of a small one to do. So like you feel like like it's already 8:30, but something was achieved and it was not just like kuch bhi ho raha hai. So yeah. So okay. So remember I was talking to you about mouse interactions. So there was, say, suppose there's a line which is, so you can see this line on the diagonal line that's come up, yeah. So this line is now fixed in that space, but P5 with very little effort allows you to uh, make the location of your coordinates based on the mouse. Now, how this works is, for example, I'll make an ellipse, which it's a little easier to understand with the ellipse. So what are the coordinates? We need a y, x and a y. So I say, okay, let my mouse x data point be the circle ka x data point, and let the y data point be the y data point. And then I say, okay, I want it to be a um, 30 pixel circle. So there you go. So now you can see wherever, okay, wait, I'll comment this out. Wherever my mouse is going, this fellow is like kind of with me. There'll be a bit of lag. This is a typical thing about the software. But so here, say for example, I wanted to use it like a paintbrush. Can you guys tell me what I need to do? If I think Ocean knows this one, and even Anisha, maybe you guys can tell me what needs to be done.
Remove the. You can hash out what is the background.
Okay, yeah. So here, there you go. So it became white by default because we didn't give it a color. So I can share this link and you guys can try it on the same sketch. So it's a little easier. Say, okay, so Ocean, tell me now, suppose I wanted a blue background and I wanted this white circle still, what would I do?
Oh, you'd put a background in setup, the blue background in setup.
Perfect. Yes. Genius, yeah, genius. Oh, okay. Oh, I made it green. Anyway, but you get the point. So there is a bit of like the way it works is like if you're going fast, you can see that the circles are not getting made. That's like a bit of like frame rates and things that like I mean I don't really think it's worth touching right now. So if I wanted to do the same thing for a line, see okay now see this is a static line, but can you see that there's it's getting a bit darker and darker. You maybe you want to try it on your screens so that you will get to know. I'll reduce the opacity of the line and then you'll see. Oh, sorry. Can you see it's getting darker and darker? It started with a gray. So basically, this was a lower opacity line, like how you put those boxes, you know, in graphics, जहाँ पे पीछे थोड़ा background नजर आता है in your PPTs and all. So what happened here is that we just drew the green color once, and then we still had to draw the line in the draw function. So it kept drawing on itself with that low opacity, and it became thicker and thicker. Just like when you use a highlighter and you keep like putting it on itself for like a that you know what are those markers, Copic markers or whatever you call it. Yeah. So now we'll go to figuring out the line also running like the ellipse. Sorry. So okay, so now it's not an animated. I mean, it's kind of moving, but there's no like it's not leaving behind a trail. That's obviously because the background's here. But now, if I wanted that to happen to the line, how would it work? Now, this was like even for me, I was getting a bit confused. So like that's why I made this kind of part of what we were doing today. Uh, Say okay, let's not use this one. For example, I want to make this mouse X. Okay, I just did this as mouse X and I didn't do anything else. So what will happen? Can you do you guys want to do it yourselves and see what's happening? See, even the height is not changing. All it's doing is that at that particular point of 200y, the mouse will move wherever within that space. But besides that, it will not move. Ocean? Supriya, you okay? Anisha? Okay. So okay. Nanditi, can you tell me अगर मैं इसको mouse Y कर देती तो क्या होगा?
So X and Y both will be affected by where you're moving your mouse. So it won't be at what was that 200 earlier, right? It won't be there. You can go wherever you want across the height.
Okay. Meme, you are okay with this? Sorry, Meme. Anisha? Oh, she dropped. So now the second point is fixed, but the first point is working as to whatever we want. So now, Nanditi, in exactly how you were saying, so for example, this line was थोड़ा ऊपर होती और ये बैकग्राउंड में इधर डाल देती ऊपर. So it will almost give us the effect that Nasreen has.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. So yeah, so that's an interesting possibility that instead of like trying to do it extremely mathematically, we do a like quick way to just like replicate it, but like not exactly. Yeah.
Why
So
So
if we are to, sorry.
sorry, who has down?
why we put the background in raw?
Yeah. So okay, I think you missed that bit. That's right. So now if the background is here, there's no like it will not leave a trace every time because the background also just like the line is being drawn every single time it's being refreshed.
Okay.
You remember that thing I said about the film? Does she know film? She knows film. She's a designer film. Okay, okay, so you can call. So for example, this is film, okay, and these are frames, right? So what's happening right now is that when I'm saying, okay, I'm putting background in draw, every time, and suppose my finger color is the background. So every time it's going in, and it's like saying, okay, draw here, draw here, draw here, draw here, draw here, draw here. And then with that, the line is also drawing. But what's happening when we put the background up in setup is that it drew that just once, and then the line keeps on drawing, keeps on drawing. तो वो इसीलिए उसके ऊपर 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 आती है.
अच्छा.
तो वो एक तरह से वो पेंट ब्रश जैसा उसका फील हो जाता है ना? So okay, you guys want to try something with this? Just like give it a go, and then we'll, if you don't mind extending like another 15 minutes, then we'll take it up to 9. But that's totally up to you guys.
Yeah, that's fine. With me, at least.
You, Supriya, Ansha, you weren't saying anything, so either I'm assuming you left or or
No, I'm still here. I'm just absorbing in this very. I yeah, like it's
I can keep it a bit slow. I'll not pace up if you want. Tell us what your doubts are so we'll clear them. Maybe
No,
screen
I
share.
yeah, no, I mean it's just completely. I've not seen the software before ever, so I think maybe after the class I can experiment with myself first, and then I think I'll have to. Yeah,
Sorry,
right now.
क्या बोला?
I'm just saying that I after this class I'll probably do some experimenting and trying it for myself also, and then I think I'll
Yeah, maybe.
right now it's probably like intro stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
you need to kind of like explore it a bit on your own. That's true.
yeah.
Yeah. So what we'll try is like maybe with the mouse thing only, we'll try to do the that one module of what Nasreen's that particular artwork has. I'm sure she's rolling over seeing what we're doing with her project. So So this is what we are trying. Now, what we'll try to do is, everyone, is that we'll just use this mouse experiment and try to see if we can just draw it like this. So I guess that would mean that your four coordinates of x1, y1, and x2, y2 need to all move together. Yes.
Yeah.
So now, can you tell me how you'll do that, or like it's anyway written nature, so it's not that difficult. And so, can you, if I share this one here, say, okay, suppose what happen if I made everything mouse X, mouse Y? Please tell me.
It became dots.
Perfect. क्यों होगा डॉट? क्योंकि सारी पोजीशन एक ही है, right?
Yeah.
So here we are just telling it, okay, just extend it horizontally for another 200 pixels. To use, right?
Yeah.
So now what do we need to do? Just change the background to setup, right? And then it's okay.
Yeah.
Then we are great modernist artist. So there you go. So now you can like add constraints. Maybe you can say, okay, if you reach this point, don't draw anything or something like that. Or if you want, we can try to draw it pretty much like without any mouse interaction, just to kind of explore that aspect a bit more.
Can we increase the space between?
Yeah, I think we can. Uh, the easiest way is to like really make your mouse run really fast.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Uh,
That's what I was trying to do.
yeah. Or otherwise, I think you can like reduce the frame rate. If not,
Okay.
there you go.
Uh, so what I tried to do was like replicate the first two lines exactly from our reference, and then everything under it is with the mouse function. Um, but then that messed up the top two lines somehow.
You want to share your screen?
Although it didn't replicate exactly, I was just testing. Um, just.
I have another hack that I want to try. Maybe you guys are interested. So I was just
Yeah.
thinking, I just came to me right now. In this particular example here, what if we just make the animation here and it replicates the lines in the bottom part of the artwork?
Hmm.
Do you guys want to try that?
I didn't what? I don't understand.
So, like, say if you divided this page into like the number of times she's made it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can you say, okay, wait, and can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So for example, this was the artwork, just this bit.
Hmm.
Okay, and then we do whatever we do here, it just automatically replicates it neatly.
Yeah.
I don't know how it will be done though. We'll have to figure it out.
So is there anything like repeat or something? Like duplicate, repeat. I keep trying these words. You never know which one
Yeah,
works.
which one you want? That's also my formula.
Or like maybe
I
through a if then statement. Like if it reaches that point, then repeat under it or something.
is it working?
Not repeat, but starting from the pixel under.
I just made another line and I just gave the Y 100 extra. Oh wait, share
Yeah.
the screen. Can you see this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is my like hacks by Ambika. So,
Nice.
so this could be one way of trying it out. This is like pretty simple.
So, so basically, what I tried was like something like that, but like how you're saying, you make the top two and then let the rest replicate. So I didn't know how to replicate it, so that's why I use the mouse function
Yeah,
and just put a 40 plus for the Y.
that's
Uh,
that's what I've also done.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the second X it just remains 400 always.
Uh,
So so then it's an easy way to replicate it. But the only problem was that the frame rate solved that issue because then the distance has to be a lot, right?
yeah.
In this case, you can't really control.
Huh.
Suddenly, a lot of stuff comes out.
Yeah. This is very like hacky.
But the
Yeah.
issue was that it messed up the first two lines.
Can you show me your screen?
Uh,
Why is there an ellipse in the code? There's no ellipse on the page.
Oh, okay. Sorry. This is just a way of commenting it out. Like if you put these two dandas,
Hmm.
then it will be like okay, मैं ये नहीं पढ़ूंगा.
Oh, अच्छा.
तुम बोल रही हो ना तो I'll ignore it.
Hmm.
So this is a really good way to like explain to people what you've done in your code. So then here you can say, here I'm drawing a line which moves with it. Sometimes
so,
I wish कि ऐसे लिख दे तो बना देना चाहिए उसको.
Amrika, can you see the screen?
Yeah.
So the first two lines are set like
हाँ.
this, and then if we put the mouse function here, what it does is this random stuff comes on top. Do you see? Like one more line came on top, crossing the first two lines.
Acha, now that your mouse is at that bottom position, just do command enter once.
Yeah,
Still making the
yeah.
line.
So it's happening only when I add that. And the other problem is like it goes so quickly that it messes up the stuff.
Okay, let me draw it here. What is it written? Line mouse X.
How did you add the frame rate? What is the syntax?
In the setup, you can just write. Can you see the screen?
Uh, yeah. Frame rate. Okay.
You want to try this, guys, once and like save an image and show me.
Yes.
नंदिती, that's because तुमने ना एक वैल्यू दी है जिसमें कोई भी वो नहीं है माउस कमांड जो 400 वाली वैल्यू है.
Oh, okay. Oh,
तो वो अपने
so,
हिसाब से कुछ सोच के बना
so
दे.
I can just say.
Yeah, that's it. It's anchoring to something somewhere, which is why.
If I just put something random. Oh,
Melin, Supriya, you guys are okay? Ocean, Anisha.
Actually, maybe the lines that are in the original reference, the not the main lines, but the other ones that are lighter.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe using a mouse X for that would be a better idea instead of
Yeah,
the main
whatever you
line.
want to do. You can explore it in any way that you prefer.
Why do you write mouse x mouse y plus 100? What is 100 and 200?
Okay, I understand you. Thank you. ओके, तो अभी ये वाला लाइन हटा देते हैं। अभी ये फर्स्ट वाला जो लाइन आ रहा है, अभी व्हाट इज द कोऑर्डिनेट ऑफ दिस फिल्म? आई एम नॉट मूविंग इट नाउ ना, so like tell me what's happening on this.
Oh, uh,
शेयर हो रहा है ना?
huh. It's just there. I don't know.
ओके, बेसिकली क्या हो रहा है, वो माउस एक्स माउस वाई को उसने फर्स्ट वैल्यू ले लिया, तो वेर एवर माई माउस इज इट्स गोइंग देयर, राइट?
Yeah.
Okay, but if you observe, the x value is horizontal, right? So it's taken it 200 plus mouse x, but the y value is the same because it's a horizontal line. Suppose मैं इसको यहाँ पे कर देती 200, तो अभी वो वर्टिकल में ऐसे फॉलो करेगा उसको।
Oh, acha. Okay.
वो अच्छा नहीं, सब बता, तेरे को नहीं समझ आया तो आई एक्सप्लेन इट।
नहीं वो समझ आ गया but what if you had 50?
Pardon? हाँ, so if you put 50 then it will be a smaller line.
अच्छा. Okay. I got it.
What is
So
ना?
y is horizontal, x is vertical, and you just write a number for the size of the line.
Yeah, so like remember when we made the normal line, what did we do? We said, okay, you're at 100, your 0 point, and then your next point is say at 50.
Hmm.
Okay, और आप बोल रहे हो कि नेक्स्ट पॉइंट मुझे 200 पे रखना है
Hmm.
और y2 जो है मुझे 50 पे ही रखना है, तो अब बता कैसा लाइन बनेगा? Will it be horizontal or vertical?
Horizontal.
Very good. So basically it's just that. So हमने क्या उसको बोला कि तू बाकी सब कोऑर्डिनेट सेम रख, पर तू इसमें एक्स्ट्रा 50 डाल दे,
Hmm.
दैट्स ऑल। अभी जैसे ये वाला लाइन है, अभी ये डायगोनल हो गया क्योंकि इसमें भी मैंने 20 डाल दिया और इसमें भी मैंने 50 डाल दिया, बट ऑलरेडी सी दैट इट गिव एन एरर बाय जनरेटिंग अ लाइन ऑन द टॉप पहले ही।
Hmm.
However,
What
sorry, go ahead please.
what if you write mouse x plus 20, mouse y plus 50, and then you again write mouse x plus 20?
It will not take anywhere, it will take only 4 values for a line na.
Hmm.
हाँ, अगर तू पेपर पे ड्रॉ करेगी तो एक पोजीशन से दूसरे पोजीशन पे जाएगा ना।
Hmm.
So when you're taking it from say from here to here, each point has 2 coordinates, right?
Hmm.
So basically, you're giving the first coordinate x1, y1, and then you ran it across the page and you said x2, y2.
Hmm.
तो यही हमने किया in the static line that we did.
Okay.
नहीं समझ आया?
थोड़ा सा आ गया.
Okay, wait. जो अपन अपना पुराना वाला वो था ना, एक सेकंड मैं दूसरा फाइल खोल के बताती हूँ. ये हमारा पहला वाला फाइल था ना. सॉरी सारी चीजें ये वाला जो फाइल है अभी इसमें there's one line and then there's an ellipse and there's a rectangle, right? So
Yeah.
how this works is that here in the line you have to give the value x1, y1, x2 and y2. Okay. And in the ellipse you have to give only one coordinate value x and a y, and then you have to give it a radius 1 and a radius 2.
अच्छा.
Okay, and in a rectangle, again, you have to give an x value, a y value, and a width and a height. So now, suppose ये अभी 400 इसका एक सेकंड अभी ये इसका 400 0 to 400 ये वैल्यू चल रहा है और 0 to 400 ये वैल्यू चल रहा है. ठीक है. तो अभी अपन ने लाइन कहाँ ड्रॉ किया? हमने बोला y को 120 लेना, सॉरी x को y 120 लेना और y को आप वो ही लेना 20 ही लेना. ठीक है. तो वो 20 डाउन में आ गया और यहाँ से उसने 120 की वैल्यू ले ली. फिर अपन ने उसने बोला ओके मैंने फर्स्ट पॉइंट तो ड्रॉ कर दिया, अभी तुम सेकंड बताओ. तो सेकंड हमने यहाँ पे ले लिया विच इज 420 400, 20. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is like what we used to do in math in school. पर इस वाले में थोड़ा डिफरेंट है कि इसमें आप बोल रहे हो कि मुझे रेडियस बता दो क्योंकि वो एक ही पॉइंट से ड्रॉ होगा. With a compass you will just take one point and you will go round, na?
Yeah.
So that. And in the rectangle you tell it the top corner. You say 130 85. So again that's coming, say suppose, okay, let me draw it right here. Then maybe we will go back. अभी देखो अभी x1 y1 लाइन का और x और y रेक्टेंगल का सेम आ गया
So the square.
है ना. तो इधर स्क्वायर बन गया. बट मान ले मेरे को इसको रेक्टेंगल बनाना है राइट अप टिल हियर, तो मैं उसको बोलती हूँ कि तुम मेरा विड्थ को वो जो भी कर लो 400 मान के चलो. Actually gone beyond because it's taking width. So that's not taking a point. No? So you can put it this way. Or here you can say take it to the width of the canvas. That's another thing we'll do that other time. Or is that so? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, then what we did was we just use the same format of x1, y1 and x2, y2. Sorry. We use the same format and we said okay. पहले तो I told you कि x1 तू इधर डाल और y1 तू इधर डाल. Now I'm telling you कि जहाँ पे मेरा माउस है तू उधर उसको x डाल और उधर y डाल, which is this one. ठीक है. So suppose मैं मान ले इधर x मैं सब कुछ में माउस x माउस y माउस x माउस y डालती हूँ. What does this mean?
The screen isn't moving.
It means कि लाइन उस डॉट बस एक डॉट पे ही बनेगी ना. It's like giving the same coordinate for the whole thing. So that's why we added an extra number here. Sorry, very small. But the mouse Y is still at the same place. So suppose I made
Your screen is frozen. I can't hear you. Oh, now it's okay. Now it's fine. Now.
yeah, so this was our line, suppose the static line, and then we said that okay, now make a line where x1 y1 is the mouse location, and x2 y2 is, suppose we put it's also the mouse location. Then it's just basically one point, na. Then there's no line. Maybe you can see there's one tiny little dot,
Yeah.
right? So then I said okay, but I want the line to be horizontal. And the mouse pointer is only one, so I can only manipulate one particular point, right? So if I wanted to now make this horizontal, अभी आया?
हाँ.
Fine and messy.
Mama.
Hi, can you see me, Ambika?
Yeah,
You could hear me.
no, it's okay.
You can see
I
me.
heard you also.
I thought you heard me singing.
So yeah, so अभी you got it ना?
हाँ.
अभी हमने क्या किया, अभी तो बैकग्राउंड इधर ड्रॉ में था तो वो रिफ्रेश हो रहा था, तो मैंने वापस से बैकग्राउंड को सेटअप में डाल दिया. So then it became like instead of using a dot to use as a paintbrush, you got yourself a line to use as a paintbrush. Right? So then we were like, now okay, we all are running out of time. You can tell me if you don't mind extending. I don't mind extending. Or you want to do it on another day or something. बोलो बोलो जल्दी बताओ. Vote in.
What are we doing now?
So,
Nothing.
I,
Yeah, sure, no problem.
so I
Thank you
basically,
for joining us.
no, it was
And you
super. I'm going to experiment with this. I've got this link page
Yeah.
and bookmark.
You can and ping
Explore
me
and I'm-
then. Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Bye.
Acha, you want to continue or shall we wrap up?
Maybe let's wrap up. Or try.
Yeah.
If you want to try, I can be here. And if you want to push, you can. Manisha, continue.
We can do the same thing with an ellipse, no?
Yeah, you can do the same thing with another.
Sorry.
No worries. Anisha, we were just wondering, should we like wrap up or would you like to continue? Or I can hang around and like ask, I mean, we can figure some doubts.
Uh,
Because it's dinner time also, so I understand.
no, I'll just share what I've
Yeah,
done.
that's good idea.
So,
I can't hear anything, but
I mean, how do you add something
present
to
now,
chat?
करती हूँ ना? Present now. Can you see one now?
Oh, you're saying I'll just share my screen. I thought I'll
No,
just.
it's okay now. It's all garwala look. Was it okay? Was it too fast or too slow? Meme, I think you are the newest to it, so you can give your opinion about it.
It was fine.
It was fine. Okay, it was fine.
Do you want to see what I did?
Yeah, yeah. One by one. Let us.
Uh,
You can tell me. Yeah, Ambika, did you stop treating me like a baby? I'm an adult now. I go to college. I do adult things like getting drunk. Oh, ये तो record हो रहा है. Sorry. अनीशा का ड्रॉप हो गया. मैंने तो दिखा दे तब तक.
हाँ, एक minute. I don't have I, I don't have permission to screen share.
Oh, the organization stuff maybe.
Computer just shut down and I didn't save the file, but I can just share what the screenshot I've taken.
You can even forward it to me on WhatsApp and I'll share it on the screen if you prefer. I removed Agat to increase the bandwidth.
Mm.
Actually, this is a good time to figure if you guys want to like A, if you want to continue, and B, if you, what like direction you want to go. Like, do you want to do more visual stuff or do you want to like try like poetry stuff? Because like then we can figure out. Because I'm sure like Ocean and Ansha may want to. Sorry,
Yeah.
Maime and Ansha might want to be like on the visual thing.
I feel like this is like a good place and a good. I don't know what track this is, but I like this track.
You're fine with
Uh,
it.
yeah. I mean, I think it's a good place to start. I don't know how long we want to continue, but I definitely want to continue from now on, from this one. So I feel like at a later point we can decide if we want to change tracks, but for now, this is
Yeah,
good.
this is just like basics of
Yeah.
like what available on the platform.
Yeah.
So maybe we could do like if you guys want to do it this week or next week, you tell me. Uh, I don't know whatever because like Meme's got city, so maybe she wants to be a bit faster than the rest. Uh, others might be working. So तुम लोग बोलो like normally हम लोग का एक group और है जो like little bit advanced one where we meet every Sunday. So but that sometimes isn't like very focused. We just do whatever we want to do. But like कभी कभी उसमें दो तीन session class भी होता है. But if you guys prefer, like maybe we do another session closer in the next few days, and then we make it more like a weekly or a off off-handed one, and then continue on the group also. Whatever you think.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Maybe we can do another one on like Friday or Saturday or something. I mean, I don't know, whatever is good with everyone.
Whatever suits you guys. Maybe you can like be in touch with me. I can like bring you up to
Yeah.
speed. Because like I think Ocean and Anisha anyway have done a basic thing. So once or twice, na? So,
Yeah,
हाँ,
sounds good.
ठीक है. So
I've sent in WhatsApp. I don't know if you received it or not. Like whatever.
yeah, I got
Okay.
I forwarded memories of thing.
Yeah.
I'll just share it. So you want to talk about it, you can. If you did something specific.
No. I just showing like what's being
Cool.
done. But I think like this is nice. Like if you have some sort of artwork or something, and then you are trying to copy that, like then because you are trying. Otherwise, you are just like playing around with like values, but you don't have any
Yeah.
focus. and
Yeah, that's
this is more like
I
what
think
is intent is there. So this is much
yeah.
better in that way.
Yeah. And then even if we stray from that, it's fine. But at least we like we like took our skill level to another place, which is
Hmm.
I think worth considering. So, Acha, Meme, you used a circle, is it in the second one?
हाँ
इसमें तूने circle use किया है, ellipse use किया है.
हाँ
Cool. Okay, Anisha, I think there's like something in your code we need to look at because it seems to be doing something on its own from what I see in the drawing.
Yeah, I was basically wanted to achieve that smaller lines and to the bigger lines. So that's what I was trying to say, how that can be possible.
How do
Like
you
I,
mean?
so in the actual artwork of the artist, you can see there is like a smaller line starting and then it's ending in a longer, thicker line, right?
Huh.
So that's what I was trying to achieve, but I didn't reach anywhere.
Yeah, that we need a bit of work on that. Like maybe we need to like have
Yeah,
some
I
kind of
think I was so I repeated. So there was line one and line two, and the line one starts with X and Y, and the line two is starting with +5, +50 or +200 or something. So I was trying to bring that gap and this thing, but yeah, it didn't work out. So I'll try more.
no, like that's fine. It's a good place to be.
Yeah,
That we figured it out. Okay, so cool. If you want to share more things later or you want to work it out, you can ask
sure.
me in the group only,
Yeah, sure.
so that others can also like get to know where you're at.
Okay.
And maybe if you want to meet separately to like bring it up to the what these guys are doing, then otherwise I can even suggest you some good YouTube videos to follow.
yeah
This is where I
हाँ
learned. पता
okay
पड़ा next session में मैंने ही हमें सिखाई very good ना. I'll be very pleased. चलो cool. Thank you guys. Thank you for staying
Okay.
extra
Thank
time.
you.
Okay.
thank you
Yes. Thank
And
you. Bye.